Hello, my name is Cameron Brennan with OpenText. I'd like to welcome you to this session on the importance of collaborating on engineering information and procedural documentations to keep your capital projects on schedule and to also provide your operations and maintenance people with the documentation and procedural information they need to get the job done right the first time, whether that's maintenance planning or maintenance execution or even operating your large revenue producing asset. Today I'm joined by Roy Gillison, also with OpenText, and Amber Croy with Freeport LNG. So as we know, most of these projects are delayed in some fashion, which is delaying your production revenue, where you actually get to start making money back on the billions of dollars you've invested. This study found that 2 of the top 3 causes for these project delays were due to technical drawing exchange and collaboration. And we know that that happens oftentimes. And we at OpenText want to make sure that this documentation exchange, the markups, the providing feedback to your EPCs during the project is never on the critical path. Amber, thank you again for joining us. Could you please introduce yourself and share some of your story?
Sure, thank you. Amber Croy, been with Freeport LNG for about 12 years now. And Freeport LNG is a 3-train LNG operating facility, and we're looking to add a 4th. Freeport LNG started out as a natural gas import terminal, and then the shale gas revolution led us to building a gas liquefaction export terminal. And next slide. Like every project, you will encounter challenges. This was a huge $15 billion project that had its share of challenges. One being, how do we handle this big of a project with a very small team of about 30 and no real automation? At first, we could only load 1 document at a time and had to manually fill in all the metadata fields with hundreds of documents coming in a day. We also did not have any electronic review process, so we had to print and pass around the documents and then scan them back in. This was all very time consuming, and we knew we had to do something before we got out of the feed phase. This is where Extended ECM was able to relieve those challenges for us. With the bulk uploader, we were able to load hundreds of documents with the metadata in just a few clicks. Within a few minutes, we would have hundreds of documents in the system. We were able to create transmittals, and then we had an electronic review process. We were able to successfully load 1 million documents a month with about 10 document controllers and about 20 engineers. Next slide. Another challenge we had was the brownfield documentation during the import phase of the facility. The EPC company held on to all the documents until the site was built, then gave us a few drives and added an index with just title and document number and said, here you go. Since this was way before Extended ECM, the files were loaded into Content Server with no metadata at that time. As you know, searching was a nightmare and people just did not want to use the system. Once we had Extended ECM, we were able to start a cleanup process, and that took about 3 years and about $1 million to complete. But we were able to pull all the metadata from all the documents, create the bulk uploaders, and load them into an intuitive folder structure with all the metadata tied, and that eased the search. And we no longer have people spending hours looking for documentation on the brownfield documents. Next slide. And then the fun challenge came, finishing out a major project during COVID. In a time of crisis, we still needed to safely collaborate over the turnover documentation. Freeport LNG did not really have a way to collaborate without being in the same room, so we ended up having to come into the office a few times a week to effectively collaborate and get the project closed out. And as you know, you are always going to have projects, so we have been talking about different ways we could effectively collaborate and still social distance as needed.
Okay, thanks, Amber. Hi, my name is Roel Gillissen. I'm a colleague from Cameron. So if you look at the challenges that they had and how we solved them in the solution, is first of all that we offer customers a single interface. And because a lot of times the single interface of choice is Microsoft Teams, we make sure that any functionality that we have in the system is available from Microsoft Teams. As you can see in the screenshot, that even in Teams, we can show you CAD drawings and let you work with those drawings. It's flexible, it's really secure. And what we also introduced in the latest version is that you are able to share content from your documentation and your workspace into Microsoft Teams. So that means that you don't have to expose all of the content that you are managing, but you can really specify specific which location you want to share in Teams so that external users can work with this. So this, saves you a lot of training because it's a familiar interface for everyone. It allows you to access all of your investments and your enhancements of your content management system. And it also provides a single version of the truth. And Amber mentioned, there's no metadata. Well, in Teams, there's also no metadata. But when everything is moved back into the system by sync or by archiving, we enrich the content with the metadata that is available from the project that you're managing. And this really secures your IP and reduces data loss. So let's quickly what that looks like in a demo. Okay, so let's see what this looks like in real life. What you see here is a workspace, a project workspace for Patient 7. And you can see the master metadata in here. You can see the team and all the members that are available there and some other functionalities of the workspace. If we go to project documents, and let me go one up, then you can see that there are 3 folders in this workspace. 2 of them were created when creating the workspace. There was one added, and you can see there's also one shared. So in this case, it's shared with Microsoft Teams. This share is set up as soon as you create a workspace. So inside this folder, you can see that we have 4 items, a PDF, 2 documents, and a locked document, which is reserved. And if we look at the team, in the team, you can see that we have 2 channels, general and external contract collaboration. This sub-channel is linked to this folder. So the benefit of this is that you don't have to expose the whole workspace into the team, but you can granularly select which folder you want to share with external people. In this case, 1 folder. If I open this up and I go to Files, you can see that there are a few files in there. So you can see the 1 PDF, the 3 Word documents, and also the reserved file. And in this case, what we do is that we synchronize versions, changes, but also document statuses. So you can see that the status in Teams is then also locked. When we upload a file, in the background, we monitor these changes, and these changes are synced to the workspace. So I now have a PDF, Jefferson's Hypermarket, and if we go back to the workspace and I do a refresh, the new file should be there. And you can see that I now have 2 PDFs. So the benefit of this is that the external users can work in the channel. They have access to all of the files in that folder. The internal users have access to the rest of the workspace. So this does not only allow you to do collaboration with external parties without exposing your internal content, but it also allows you to automatically capture all of the content that was created in Teams back into the workspace. And if you enable some additional features, we also capture chats, recordings, wikis, notes. So that means that also for your e-discovery purposes and some data loss features, everything will be in the workspace. Okay, so let's go back to Amber.
So Amber, would you provide your feedback on that recording?
Yes, that was a very great solution and a great way to collaborate. One of the thoughts I had during the demo is I have a project manager right now driving back and forth to an EPC company office a few times a week to review documents together. And if he had this solution in place, he could save himself a couple hours of drive time to the without having to drive there. And then his productivity would go up. Also, I have seen the EPC company charge the client to rent spaces so the teams can work together. And since they're $800 to $1,000 per cube or office, you would save a lot of money. And you think about that, you have 20 to 30 engineers over a 5-year span, you're talking 24,000 a month and a few $1,000,000 by the time the project's over that you could have saved by having this kind of collaboration and this tool without having to integrate yourself inside their office space. Very nice tool.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for your feedback. We appreciate it. So what have we seen today? We've seen how you can effectively collaborate internally. Say it's a squad check. Your teams, your subject matter experts have marked up several engineering drawings or procedural documents, and you want to have a team meeting. Used to be, you go into the office, get around a conference table. Now you can actually open up a Teams webinar for your team, but have all of the information you need right at your fingertips. So that business workspace, all the engineering drawings, the assignments there for those markups would be with the manager. The manager would just open them up, discuss them with the team. You can identify markups that you want to send to the contractor, others that you don't, burn those in and add them to a transmittal that quickly. So you could have standing meetings, say every other day. The system can automatically put these on the agenda so that you can quickly and easily have that collaboration and get that feedback to your EPC. Now, when you're working with EPCs externally, say on a contract during the pre-feed stage, you can have that Word doc synchronized right into their team so they can pull it up, they can work on it themselves, you can see what they did, or you can actually, once again, have a Teams meeting with the external contractors and leverage that real-time editing capability so you can see the changes they're making while you're making your changes and agree on those quickly to speed that part. So this can be RFPs, RFIs, contractual negotiations, as well as procedural documents. So Amber, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate that. We hope you find this valuable. There's a few other events that you can see. Let me go to the next slide. These are some sessions. There's one on building information modeling, which provides 3D capabilities as well as real BIM functionality as far as metadata tracking and project scheduling and allowing you to validate that content. So that's another session you might want to have a look at. There's some that show how we integrate into enterprise asset management systems to provide that information to people in real time. There's also some meetups. So our engineering and product management teams are going to be sharing in a meetup that's live. You can register for that and discussing the roadmap and what's going on in other resources. We'd also love to see you at OpenText World in Las Vegas. Amber's already said she's going to probably make that. So we can't wait to see her there in person also. So we hope you can make that. And feel free to join user groups and talk to other people that are using the solutions. We want to thank you very much once again for your time. Have a great